Good afternoon, Americans. This is your favorite alien in Bubba here on the afternoon of Saturday, April 17th, 2021. Sitting here for Paul Harvey. And now, commentary. Well, Americans, if Mr. Paul Harvey was alive today and sitting with what went on in the last 4 months of the year, he would be doing a commentary something like this. And Mr. Harvey, if you can hear me upstairs, I hope this meets with your approval and also with Mr. Paul Harvey Jr.'s approval here. So here we go. Well, Americans, this is your favorite alien sitting in for Paul Harvey this afternoon. And if he were here and alive today, he would say, in the last 4 months, almost of 2021, we have had 51 shootings. Here in America, 51 shootings. And when Mr. Paul Harvey died in 2009, they were starting to come into vogue, remember? You had the Luby's cafeteria shootings of the 80s and 90s. In the Luby's cafeteria, some in Texas, one in California, I believe. Then you had Columbine in 1999. Then you had a lot of shootings in the 2000s, up until his death in 2009. But after 2009, Mr. Harvey, wow, we've had a lot of them. Las Vegas, over in Miami, go to the club there, 50, you know, there's a lot of shootings. And remember, in the old days, they used to shoot presidents. And that was the extent of it. We shot presidents or dignitaries like George Wallace, yeah, and also Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and you know, people like that. But then, in the last decade, from your death, 2010 to 2021, boy, these shootings have become atrocious. Here, in the first 4 months of 2021, and we're not even to the end of April, we have 51 shootings. And you would tell the American people the cost of these shootings, and everybody was just saying, guns, guns, guns. Well, yes and no. And you would say yes and no, and this is why, and I hope you're listening upstairs with the boss and tell me that I was true, all right, someday when I see you. But speaking and sitting in for you today and looking at your point of view, I would say I agree with you. It's a yes and no on the guns. I would say, in my opinion, the guns account for 30% of the shootings here, okay? 30% of the cause. The other 70% is the American people themselves. Some of the shootings have been reported nationally. There was one shooting, and I forget which state, where this lady, it was a road rage incident. She didn't die, but she still got shot. Because she kind of cut off somebody, and he didn't like the fact that she cut him off, so he followed her after the exit from the interstate, I guess it was, and boom, shot her. And over in, if I remember right, let me see, what was that? Yeah, there was another incident. I don't know if it was 2021, but for Mr. Harvey, this will stipulate my point of the shootings that's been going on. There was an incident in Jacksonville, Florida, where this guy comes to this station and goes into the store, and he don't like the fact that the car that he parked next to has two African American guys with their, music. And you know how African Americans like to blare their music. Yeah. Well, this guy didn't like that. He went into the store, then he came out, and he shot the guy on the passenger side, killed him. And that was a big story for a little while. But the news media here, if it's not African Americans getting shot by police or getting killed by police, it's not a big story. So it just lasted for a little bit, maybe one day, two at the most, and it's gone. Yeah. It's like the story here in Georgia where Mr. Aubrey, he's an African American, was doing what an African American does. He went to check out empty houses, and that's perception issue that also should be accounted in that cause thing. But anyway, he caused his own death because these guys were hell-bent on getting him. So they still haven't gone to trial yet. That's one of them. And this is what I'm saying, Mr. Harvey, that the American people don't understand that 70% of this causing of the shooting is them for not being educated, not being citizens, and thinking that the gun answers all. You don't handle on your emotions for whatever reason. And some of the things that they do for these shootings, like the guy in the last two shootings here in Boulder, Colorado, that killed 10, and 8 here in the Atlanta area for massages. Mr. Harvey, you would laugh up there if you could hear that for the massage ones, they say, oh, it was a sex addiction. So he had to kill the massage people for sex addiction? Really? This is kind of... And it's massage, it's not a dirty thing. If you look at the Asian culture, massage is part of it. It might not be in the Western culture, but it is in the Asian culture. And this is what you understand. This is the problem that I've been telling you humans, especially Americans here, Mr. Harvey, that they allow these people like the Asians to come in, and they bring their culture with them. And that's the problem. It creates this, whatever happened here between that guy and those spa people. And it can't be just sex addiction because, hey, that's the way spas are. It's always been like that in Asia. And they're trying to do the same thing here because they're Asians. So you can't say it's a hate crime either, because he killed them for sex addiction. And the one in Boulder, there is no, other than he had a mental issue, there's nothing there. So between these two and that one guy in Jacksonville, Florida, who killed the guys because their music was too loud, and the police officer in Brookline Center, Minnesota, who couldn't distinguish between a Glock and a taser. That's one thing that they should teach you. When I was taught how to handle weapons, I was taught how to feel them. The difference between a Smith & Wesson gun, a Remington gun, and a Glock, a Ruger, and all that. I can tell the difference by just feeling the gun, what it is, without even looking at it. And it's something that you're taught and you should teach yourself to do if you're a police officer, because that is your partner. Your gun is your partner. And if you don't treat your partner right, you're going to end up in a situation like Miss Potter did, or Mr. Showman, for not understanding what policing is over there in Minneapolis, Minnesota with Mr. Floyd. This is the problem, Mr. Harvey, that the American people and the humans in general have here. They don't understand you can eliminate the guns. And you're not going to 100% eliminate them. But get them down to at least 2% maybe. That only 2% of the population have guns. That's all you should have. 2%. But the guns are so proliferated here, it's not even funny. It allows people, because of their faculties and their education level, and they're disturbed, whatever disturbed they are, the gun is their answer to everything. In the case of that guy with the road rage, I mean, you get there, somebody pissed you off, and you go after them. There's been a lot of shootings like that. How about shootings that you don't consider mass shootings, but they are, because you go in to a no-knock warrant as a police officer. There was a lady here in the 1990s, and she was old. She was 80 or 90 years old. I forget. Her name was Mrs. Johnson, I believe. And the police went in there, and she started shooting at them because it was a no-knock warrant, and you're coming into your home, so you have to protect the home, right? Yes. And they shot her, big time, bullets all over the place. They did the same thing over there in Louisville with Miss Breonna Taylor. That's still a high-level case over there, and that's the problem that they don't understand. Policing, guns, and people's attitude towards society. That's what's causing these shootings, the mass shootings that we have here. You have retributions where you shouldn't have retributions. You shouldn't have revenge. Somebody once said that revenge is a dish best served cold. And you can't get any colder than space. So if you're going to serve revenge, I would say we should do what Scotty did and beam you up to deep space where it's cold. That way you understand what revenge is. Okay? This is what I'm saying to you humans and Americans specifically. Sitting in for Paul Harvey today, this is what I'm saying. He would say the same thing. The cause of these mass shootings are 30% guns, 70% you. And until you bring the proliferations of guns down to at least 2% of what they are today, and bring the proliferation of your society down to 2% of what it is today, you would be in a much better shape. But you got to understand, you got to educate yourself, and none of you Americans are educated. You can show me degrees up the wazoo, and I still consider you pain in the asses, because you're not educated at all. You're still illiterate as far as I'm concerned, and not from another planet. Mr. Harvey would have said you were illiterate, the way you're handling your society here. Only illiterates would handle the society like you guys are. Anyway, Mr. Harvey, I hope you understand what I'm saying here, because if you look at that, and if you go back and do all the research that you have since January 1st till April 30th, and you do a research there of 2021, you're going to say that people have been killed by not only guns, knives, poisoning, neglect, and just for the snare thing of killing. As that lady from Idaho, Miss Ballo, Lori Ballo, killed her 2 kids because, hey, you were interfering in my life. And those were her 2 kids. And they were interfering in her lives. How many parents have killed your children because they're interfering in your lives? You see what I mean about your society? It's illiterate, uneducated, and you don't even know how to handle a society. Anyway, Mr. Harvey, I hope you like this one. This is your favorite alien in Bubba, sitting in for Mr. Harvey this afternoon. Good day.